What's up, y'all? Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Being Human. Today, I had the honor and the pleasure to interview one of my best friends. We've been friends for over a decade now, and we've gotten to explore all different parts of the phases of life that we go through from young teenagers all the way up into adulthood. And I just feel so grateful that I get to share the wisdom that he has experienced in his life, the wisdom that he is sharing with the rest of the world. My friend Nick is just such an amazing soul, and I really, really cannot wait for you guys to listen to this episode today. Hi, Nick. Welcome to the talk show.
Hello.
Super excited to get into this conversation today and just share yourself with the world. Let's just start off with introducing yourself. Like, who are you? Where are you located? And whatever other fun facts you'd like to share.
Okay. My name is Nicholas Cruz Torres. Um, I live in Las Vegas, and I am a curandero, which is a traditional Mexican healer, and I am a puppy parent. This is Apollo.
He's the best.
Yeah, and right now I'm actually like turning my house into an art gallery for this weekend. The theme is love, so we'll have some people who have been making art, and we're gonna do a live stream just to like showcase our all our friends' talents. Like we can't go out or we can't like bring a lot of people in to see it, so we're gonna try to stream it and still share it with the world and with our friends. So, and right now I'm like turning our garage into like this big like immersive art experience that's like lights up with neon, and it's really cool. I'm excited.
Cool. Yeah, I remember visiting you and seeing what you had done in the garage. So I'm excited to tune into the live stream and see like what you guys make your house this time. It's always so
Yeah, yeah. I'm super. Yeah, last time when you saw it, it was like an Alabrije neon jungle, like under the full moon, and like it was really cool. And this time it's gonna be Japanese cherry blossoms.
I love that. Yeah, so awesome. And what a beautiful like theme of love with things like Valentine's Day come in and everything. I would love to talk more about your unique path. I think not a lot of people are familiar with what a curandero is. I would love for you to just explain more and what drew you onto this path.
Yeah, so a curandera or a curandero or a curanderex, which like when I write it out, that's what I put, is a person who has the dawn, which is the gift for healing. And it's usually in the tradition of curanderismo, it's usually like passed down through families, but it can also, like, anybody could also be born with it as well. And yeah, like, so my journey, like ever since I was a little kid, I was like, oh, I was called to help people. So I was like, like my mind up until college was like the only thing I understood that to be was like to be a doctor, right? And so I get to college and I'm like, no, it just doesn't feel right. Like that's really cool. I can do that, but I don't think that's what I want to do. So I like went down liberal arts path and studied history and political science. And in my junior year, one of the classes I took was had had to me read a book called Bless Me Ultima by Rudolfo Anaya, who that book like instantly became my favorite book of all time. Um, and that was the first time that I read the word curandera. One of the main characters is a curandera, and I instantly knew like that feels right. Like I don't know what this is. I don't know like what this means for me, but like that's what I've been feeling my whole life. So um like I don't know, I guess in 10 years I'll like quit whatever I'm doing and go study with some shaman somewhere. Like that's what I thought it meant,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, I still got to finish college and I got to like go to the corporate world or like go somewhere that I can make a lot of money and like make my family proud and like do all these cool things that I don't know that I was told I was supposed to do like
Yeah.
throughout school. Yeah, and so here we are. That was about, I don't know, when did I graduate? 2011. So that was about 2009 that I read that book. Here we are. It's 12 years later, and like I'm doing it. And so, yeah, a few years ago, I was like, I told my husband, I said, I think I'm ready to do this. Like, I don't know what this means. I don't know how to start, but I already um I already do like little healings for myself and like for the people around me just intuitively, like whatever feels right, I do it. um and then like one of my aunts taught me how to make um a, a remedy that's been passed down in my family for generations that's filled with like a bunch of herbs and like a lot of love and healing energy, and she taught me how to make it. And I was like, this, it feels like it's time to like really dive into this now.
Yeah.
um and so last year, before the pandemic started, or before it became a thing in the US, I was like, this summer I'm going to go to New Mexico and I'm just going to spend some time there. And like um there's a class at the University of New Mexico that they teach during the summers where they bring in different curanderas to speak, and you kind of learn what it encompasses. It's about a 2-week class. And I was like, I'm going to take that class and I'm going to stay there for like a month so I can like try to like talk to all these people and like really get to know them and try to figure out what I'm supposed to do next. And then the pandemic happened, like quarantine happened, and I was like, well, curanderas are usually like the only source of like medical attention for their small communities because they can't afford to go to a doctor. They have to go visit traditional healers. And I was like, that would be really irresponsible. Still there? Okay. Someone was trying to call me. And then I would like that would be really irresponsible to like take um like potentially take COVID to like these vulnerable communities. So I was like, I'm just gonna put this off. Um, and see what happens. And then like in February, March, like I joined this amazing community with you where like we support each other's dreams and like are just supporting each other. And I had to talk about my dream like every week, So and like I was like, okay, talking about it and talking about it. And I was like, okay, well, I have to do something about this. Like, I don't want to wait anymore.
Yeah.
And just just around, it was like in May, I think, our friend Jenny Lau, me and her, like, she was one of the only people that I would have like these deep, like spiritual conversations with. And she was like, yeah, I joined this mentorship for like plant medicine and shamanic healing and chaos magic. It's 18 months and it's all online. And I was like, wow, she sent me the website. It's by Mimi Young, and it's called the Mystery Mentorship. And I was like super opposed to doing stuff online, but I was like, when I saw the website, I was like, and how structured it was, I was like, this is everything that I want to learn.
Yeah.
But it's everything I wanted, but I didn't know it existed until she sent me the website. So I signed up in June. So I started a month after the mentorship started. So it took me like a month and a half to catch up. But I've like between June and now, like I've learned how to bring healing to more people, like through this mentorship. And then through this mentorship, I've learned about other healers or other sources that I could research on my own. And I've just like grown my own practice. And now people are like asking to have healing sessions with me, like spiritual healing sessions. Like we're about, some of my friends are about to like trust me to help them travel to the spirit world to like look for some deeper healing on that level, like whether it's with ancestors or like traumatic experiences. Yeah, even like one friend is gonna let me like help with like alter ego work and shadow work and like sex magic and like so many cool things. Yes. And I'm like, it's been less than a year, and I'm like, everything that's inside of me now, I can see it and feel it, and I know how to use it to help people. And it's really amazing, and it's exciting and fun. And yeah, I have so many big plans moving forward. I can't wait to see where it goes.
I know, it's like it's just the beginning, which is crazy for literally just the beginning. And it's so awesome, and I'm so excited for you. And fun fact for anybody watching, Nick is actually a very dear friend of mine. We've been friends for like a decade. I think around there. Yeah. And yeah, it's been magical to see us go from like these crazy college raver party kids to like I swear all healers start at that point.
I'm like, you coexist, right?
Literally, I know, I love it. But it's so awesome to witness and to like hear you talk about your story, and I feel like you're really stepping into more of yourself and more of your soul and more of your voice, and it's beautiful to witness, and I'm so excited to see what else happens for you. And there's a couple things in you sharing your story that I'd really like to touch upon deeper for those that are tuning in and watching this conversation. And at the beginning of your journey, it was like internally in your heart, you like knew that this path was going to come for you, but you said it and touched upon it beautifully that like you were doing everything that you were supposed to do. And I think a lot of people in the world will really relate to that. Like, well, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, but I'd love to hear from your lens when you were moving through those motions and following a more traditional path per se. What did that feel like for you? And when was that like light bulb moment where you're just like, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm no longer going to follow the herd type of thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I love that you asked that question because I think like along my journey, different opportunities path like opened up along the way that I wasn't necessarily looking for. And I've always kind of had this like motto, like if an opportunity comes up, like just take it, even if it's not, you don't know where it's going, or if it's not 100% like what you thought you would be doing, like you're still moving forward. And if it feels right, then it feels right for a reason, you know? Yeah. And so like along my journey, like through college, like when graduation came, I was like, I'm not ready for the real world. I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, and then this opportunity came up where like I would be offered a graduate assistantship if I like continued going to school. And I was like, okay, take that. Like, keep learning. You have a job, and that's where I like got to work with like kids or like bringing information to really small communities that could benefit from it. Um, and then eventually that led to like working at the university, like with the student government. And then after graduation, I ended up in Seattle, and I was like, I felt so lost. I felt like such like a little fish in like this giant ocean, you know. And I was like, what the hell am I doing here? And then like this idea of like contract work is so big there. So like I got to be a contractor for Microsoft, but like I didn't have to be a Microsoft employee and like be such in that, like I had a lot more control over my schedule and my time. So that allowed me to do a lot of cool things like travel more or meet new people or like start working from home so I have more time to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
So it was like, even though I didn't know where I was going, it was all like guiding me to like these where I could learn how to work with communities, where I could learn to start managing my own schedule or like learning how important work-life balance is, or like learning the school skills from a business perspective. And then like what like in July, because of COVID, like my job, or there was budget cuts, so I was like unemployed, and I was like, okay, let me just ride this unemployment for a minute and like try to make this happen, like because this is where I'm supposed to be right now. And like everything just keeps going right. And so I'm like, okay, let's just see what comes out of it. And like in the past 6 months, a whole lot's come out of it. Like not that I'm like making, like I'm not necessarily making any money right now, but like the connections I'm making, the experience that I'm getting, people like putting their trust in me, and me learning how to like work with people on a really like deep and personal level. Like this is like it goes really deep, and like so I've been able to do all of that in this time, and now that's leading to like, okay, now I think I can start like, I hate the word business, but like building a business out of it so that I don't have to go work for other people, and I can not just work for myself, but work for the collective, right? Like helping people get out of like whatever heaviness that surrounds them and like ascend to become the higher versions of themselves, the highest versions of themselves that they can. And then we all benefit from that, like as a collective, rather than like one CEO that's paying me like shit money. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So
corporate pyramid scheme.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, I love all of that. Yeah, and I think you touched upon so many beautiful things of like the life experience that many people do. And I love that you just always trusted yourself on this path, even if you're just like, I don't really know where it's going. And I think also like where you are right now, I think going out on that limb for some people, like the entrepreneurial path is just like terrifying because you don't have that cushy corporate job behind you. But like you said, it feels so deeply fulfilling, and I think that's beautiful, which brings me to just the human experience, right? Which I would love to hear in your own lens, like how do you view like being human?
Oh man, what a question.
Like almost yeah.
So I think being human is so very special. Like we like, okay, so we are able to love, we're able to care for things, we're able to create like magnificent things, and we have vision and connection, and we have all these amazing gifts, right? But like I think a big part of the human experience that a lot of people may or may not be awoken to right now is that we're supposed to like be taking care of this earth and of each other. Like we don't own it, everything. We are like, we're protectors and guardians, and like and there's so much like beauty and love and fulfillment in that, right? Like and I think that's like a big part of the human experience that unfortunately a lot of people don't get to experience, like feeling that connection with the earth. Like and it's interesting because it's like there's like for so long, like the most of human history, like people have lived in relationship with the land, right? Like caring for it and like returning to the land when they pass. Like it's a cyclical cycle. And it's beautiful. But like very recently in human history, it's been like ownership of the land. Like people think they have to own it, and then you like start to lose that connection, and you don't get to experience that beauty. Like but I think like there's a huge shift happening with, I see it in like everyone that I come in contact with, where people are like want to live in relationship with the land and want to take care of it. And I see that like spreading and really quickly, and that makes me happy. And I think like for me, I think it's so important to remember like we're here for a moment, but we're here for purpose, and our purpose is to learn, to connect, to love. Like this life is a classroom, so we should be like taking lessons from it, like on to our next journey, rather than like, I don't know, we just need to be learning more and like living more in connection with each other. I don't know.
I love that answer. I love hearing everyone's different perspective on it, and I so agree that our greatest teacher is living in the life experience. And with that being said, like I think as humans we go through these collective lessons and maybe don't always notice it, but when you start to step into this role of like I'm in service to help the greater good of humanity, you start to pick up on like, oh, well, I'm learning this, but I'm not the only human experiencing it, and someone else is. And then when you have the courage to speak about it, like in these types of conversations or in the work that you do, and like being on the online space, I really think like that's the beauty of technology being around now. And in that, like, what is one of the most profound lessons? I'm sure there's so many, but what is one that has really stood out to you either recently or along your journey of this that you're just like, wow, this was a tough lesson, but it was really powerful for me?
Ooh, girl, there's
I know, Alan's like
let's see. So I think one of the I'm thinking specifically like 2020 was like a year of lessons, like profound lessons for so many people, right? And I think the biggest lesson, the first biggest lesson that I learned last year was like rest. Like it was the first time in my life that I was like grounded. Like I was not traveling like every other weekend. I wasn't like out and about. I wasn't doing all of these things that I'm usually doing. So it was like that was an interesting like lesson to go through, because I was like so many feelings of like I feel useless, like I feel restless, I'm missing everything that I used to go to. And then it turned into a like, oh wow, this isn't nice. Like when I don't know the last time I felt like I had like days and days and days where I could just catch up and recharge my battery.
Mhm.
And then I was like, and then that turned again into like, okay, this is too much rest. And like the wave came back. I was like,
Yeah.
started getting anxious about it again. And then like the night, like once that started going away, then I learned about like intentionally resting. So like
Yeah.
really like setting the mood for you and your spirit and your body to like really recharge. I was like, and then I'm like, now I'm learning how to take those lessons and like, oh, I only have like 30 minutes to rest, but how I can make it feel like so much more now.
Yeah.
Like, so like, and then learning how to plug that in when you're super busy to like kind of keep that motivation going. Um, that's what I've been playing with like the past 3, 4 weeks. And I'm like, it feels so good. I'm like, I can't like when people say you can't have it all, I'm like, you can. You just have to like learn the techniques.
Yeah.
But I love like finding the little things to like just improve like your quality of life and your creativity and motivation, you know?
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good one. It's such like a simple
Yeah.
concept, and it kind of seems like people would be like, "That's not a lesson." It's like, have you looked at society?
It is
Like no
because
one knows.
we're
Yeah,
yeah, like we're told like if you rest then you're lazy,
you're lazy.
or if you rest you're not a hard worker, or you have to earn your rest, like you have to work yourself to death to get 3 days vacation. Like no,
Oh,
these are like, and I believed in these things
me too.
for
That's
so long. I
same.
was like, no, that's how it works. Like, you're lazy, or like,
Yeah,
you should always be doing something, is how I always felt. And I'm like, no, like, rest is doing something. And it's really important what it does for your body and your mind and your spirit
oh yeah,
and your vision. And like, to have to be able to navigate life easier and like get things done at a higher quality.
yeah.
Like, and more efficiently. Like there's so many benefits.
So many. Yeah, I know that productivity wound is what someone called it, and I was like, oh, I resonate with that. And yeah, I definitely have gone better about intentional rest myself, and I love that you said that, because I think some people would think you were going to say something different. It's like, no, that was really, really important.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2020
yeah,
brought a lot of lessons. I feel like if I was going to pinpoint one from last year for me, it's, can you love people exactly where they are, even if you don't agree with what they're doing?
ooh, girl, that's a good one.
That one.
I learned that lesson too.
Yeah, because it's just like there's, I mean, with everything that happened last year with, like Black Lives Matter movement, just the different ways of responding to COVID and stuff, it was just like people said things and showed up in ways where I was just like, ooh, I don't agree with that, but like, can I stay open and still love you and invite you into like a different perspective and belief? And that was huge. And I was like, wow, okay, like still staying in love despite the differences, which I think we need more of
Yeah,
in the world.
it's because it's hard, right? Because it's like if you cannot love others, then you can't love yourself fully. And if you can't love yourself fully, you can't love others fully. So it's like
Yeah,
you have to do both. And it's hard.
exactly. Yeah, it's definitely like, oh, definitely. Yeah, I think like being human is also like some deep practice of humility, because we live in a polarizing world. But yeah, like the more grounded you could be in like the love frequency as best as you can, I think is really powerful. And I'm still learning and navigating. There's still times where I'm just like, like blood boils. I'm like,
Yeah.
really? Like it's okay.
And like that love you feel for yourself, like it radiates out.
It
And
does.
so if you can like focus on that and really grow that, it affects more people in a positive way
Yeah,
than if you just like hate on them.
totally. I totally agree. um, And then I also am curious, because of everything we've been talking about, like your journey thus far in life. how do you feel it's played a role in you defining your own purpose for yourself?
So I guess that's a really good question too, because I kind of feel like we're born with that purpose. Like our spirit already knows what the purpose is. And it's just this human experience that kind of makes us forget what your purpose is. And I think like along my path, I've just been able to be open to receiving signals or like confirmation, like, hey, you're going on down the right path, or you are making the right choices, or you are like you're staying true to your values, so you're going to get to where you need to be. And I think that having that outlook has really helped me rediscover and remember really what that purpose was. A story that I actually forgot to mention earlier was last year, I think it was like in March or April. Um, oh, it was in March, right before quarantine. I went to visit my aunt who had taught me how to make the grandma's medicine.
Yeah.
And I told her about like all these spiritual awakenings and like all these things that I've been experiencing. And she was so open to it all and like shared her experiences. And then she told me that my great grandma was a curandera. Like I had never known this, and I'm like on the path, and I'm like making this happen. And it was like the biggest confirmation of all, right? Like this is inside of you. This was passed down to you. And
Yeah.
like like growing up, I didn't really hear too many stories. Like we always had grandma's medicine, but like nobody really talked about like this spiritual healing or what curanderismo is. It was like and I don't think it was intentional. It
Yeah.
just never really came up. And so like finding this path for myself and like getting to right on track with my purpose, like super aligned, and then having that like confirmation, it was like just a beautiful sign, like, hey, keep on doing it and keep trusting yourself. Like if you have love and you have trust, then you're perfectly aligned. You're going to be where you need to be.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. And I think self trust is something that all of us get to cultivate more of. And what would be your piece of advice to those that are tuning into this about like trusting yourself? Like how have you developed that with yourself? And how would you advise others to do that?
See, I think the trusting part has always kind of been there.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part was the love part. So like trusting myself, I've always been one to be like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna work out the way it has to. Like, and I've been so fortunate that it always has worked out. Like the choices I made, even though some may have been hard or some may have been like some really rough situations, like it still got me. I was always safe in the end. I was always like taken care of. I always like provided for myself. But that that self-love part was a lot harder. Like that part was like extremely difficult. But yeah, so when we were in college, like I I've always been Nick. Like
Yeah.
I don't think you don't lose your essence. But like there was a time where like I was drinking and stuff. I didn't know if I was going to be super happy or if I was going to be super angry or if I'm going to be super sad. Like those were three options, and it was like I never knew which one was going to come out. And so like when I started grad school, I started going to counseling, and they, like, my counselor was like, wanted me to work on like self-compassion and self-love, and like um just like opening myself up to that healing. And I remember like one time she was like, I would like you to practice um, looking at yourself in the mirror, like in your eyes, like for 30 seconds, and then say, I love you to yourself, like looking in your eyes, like not looking away, looking around. Um, and so I was like, oh, that's a lame exercise, whatever. So I was like, okay, I'll do it just so I could leave. And um, like a week or two later, I was just getting ready for bed, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna look myself in the eyes. And it was like the most it was terrifying to even think about.
Yeah.
And then when I did it, I lasted less than 3 seconds and started crying my eyes out. So I jumped in the shower to like hide my tears.
Oh,
But then like practicing it, it was like, okay, I could start seeing myself a little longer like each day. And then like after 3 months, it was like I finally said like I love you. And like um it was such a wild sensation. Like it felt like this my I didn't know it was a heart chakra back then, but I felt like this area just was
yeah.
like so much energy. And I didn't like at the time I didn't really understand like how powerful that actually was.
Hmm.
But now looking back at it, and now talking to people, and like looking back at where I've been or where I am now, and like it that single exercise like changed my whole life. Like I was open to receiving the love that is always around me, but I didn't feel like, and it allowed me to give out even more love than I already did, which is was always a lot. but but like, and it's and that was like the catalyst to like opening up so much more, and like learning a lot more about energies, and like uh yeah, that love piece is it's difficult.
Yeah.
And like it could come from like how we grew up, it could come from social media, it could be like from bullying, like
Yeah.
there's so many like there's so much information coming at people all days that is telling us like why we're not good enough, or like what we should be doing to be better. Like
Yeah.
it's like, no, like yeah, we can always improve on some things, but like we're fucking perfect the way we are. Like we're God, God is us. Like
Yeah.
this is where we're supposed to be in this moment, and like just take it one step at a time. Like you are love, so like feel it,
Yeah.
feel the love. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's a good one. And I think everyone needs to do mirror work. It's definitely really powerful. And I had the same thing where my therapist was just like, can you just sit there and like say like, I am amazing, I am worthy, I am enough? And I was just like, no.
No.
No, I can't, because I don't believe any of that. And it just sounds like a whole lot of bullshit to me. But yeah,
Yeah, it does. Like when you're sitting in that chair, you're like, this is like, you
stupid.
get paid to to tell people this.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is, and I remember doing the exercise. I'm like, this is stupid. It's not going to work. It doesn't matter. And it's just because I didn't love myself and I was uncomfortable with that. So I so relate to that. And yeah, I
Yeah,
like,
and it's life changing when you start telling yourself the truth.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what starts to emanate and stir up inside of you.
Mm.
I think that's a really powerful one, and everyone watching needs to go try it, even if you also thought like us and you're like, you're silly. No.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
Yeah.
5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, exactly. And then a couple more questions. I would love to know, like, what is one of your favorite ways to cultivate more joy in your life?
So I think there's three things that come to mind. And it's because they're all kind of like happening in my life simultaneously, and I can't put a hierarchy to them.
No,
but but like one is like making an effort to spend more time outside. Like doesn't matter the weather, doesn't matter where, like could be like to the park or like a 2 hour drive out somewhere special. Like just like making more time to go outside and like um let mother nature just like hold you, and like like your inner child is just so happy and joyful and like just wants to run around and play. um so like nature. Two is like creativity. Like no matter how that comes out for a person, just let it flow. Like I used to be so judgy about my creativity because like I live with David Torres, like master of
like
everything he touches.
everything
Like
is an
everything is
artist
so
walking.
good. Yes, so good. And so like just like getting over that internal talk of like you're not good enough or you can't do this or you like, and just doing stuff. And then you come to realize like, no, I have my like I've learned my voice. Like I've learned more of my voice. I'm like learning to be in that creative flow more often. I'm learning to like try new things and like not just sit still, and it's or getting stagnant in my creativity. I'm like, oh wow, like I'm learning so much. Just like making, I like schedule it. I'm like, no, today's like writing day or
Yeah,
today's art day. Like I scheduled it because I think it's that important. Like,
yeah,
and I end up doing it more than once a week, but like
at least.
seeing it on the calendar, it is helpful. Like, you might feel unmotivated one week, but it'll still be there and
Yeah,
you'll be happy you did it.
yeah, totally.
um, yeah, and then the last thing is, um, I don't remember what the last thing is. Those two were like, I guess those were really the two.
Yeah. My goodness, I love that. And then for those that are tuning into this conversation, if you were to give them one piece of advice along their journey of life, what would that be? And if you end up giving more, that's okay.
Hmm. I think that one piece of advice. All right, I'm gonna walk you through my process of like coming up with this. So, like three words stick out, like really are coming to my mind, and it's love and trust. Like those are my like core values. I think if you have those, you can like get to where you need to be at any time, like even when you're struggling. And then connection is so important. Like
Mm,
we are all connected. Like I don't care how much you want to deny it or how much you feel alone. Like you are connected to everything and everyone.
yeah,
um and so like having that love and trust in that connection like can help you find that connection, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
just loving and trusting that it is there, and you will find it, and it will come up at the right time that you need it. And yeah, so, and like through that, loving yourself, trusting yourself, and connecting with others, that's where like so many possibilities come from.
yeah,
Like so many, like you can connect your energy with other people's like intentionally. You can like just have a support system. You can um like get that dream job you want, like anything you want in the world, like you can accomplish because you realize that you are connected to everything and everyone and this cosmic energy. And yeah, it takes work, but it's always, the work is always worth it. It's always worth it.
Yes, I totally agree. It is absolutely worth it. And then some fun rapid fire type of questions. What is a current favorite learning rabbit hole of yours?
Oh my goodness. Sorry, Apollo's going crazy over there. My rabbit holes. Right now, I'm like really just trying to understand the sun, the energies of the sun and moon. So like anything that has to do with that, I'm like in it. Like books,
Yes.
like blogs, memes, whatever. Give it to me.
Yeah, that's so fun. Yeah, planetary energy is fun, and then when you combine it with like astrology, so fun. Yeah. What are some favorite current mentors?
So current is Mimi Young. She like runs the mystery mentorship. She's incredible. And then there's this curandera named Erica Buenaflor, and she used to be a lawyer, and then she like found her path as a curandera, and she like, but she has that academic background, so she's like written really some really good books that I've been reading the past few months. And they've taught me a lot about like just the connection of like the practices that I have and that have been passed down to me and how it connects to like our Aztec and Mayan ancestors. Like it really gets into it. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of power in like understanding where things come from.
Yeah, I love that. And then what is a current favorite mantra of yours?
Ooh, let's see. So I come up with weekly mantras or affirmations, and every day I write them 3 times. Like,
Ooh, I like.
And so, yeah, and so this week it is that it's you learn quickly and or proficiently and quickly and proficiently so that you can be successful in all things that you do. I'm like, okay, so that's my mantra this week.
I like that. Yes. Is there anything else that you feel is alive in your heart that you'd like to share with us before we
close? No, I think I got it all out. Like this was a really good talk. This is the first podcast I've ever done, so it's like I don't know. I'm just gonna share what feels right, and it felt like such a good conversation. Like thank you for holding this space and like allowing me to share my story and my experiences. Like it's really beautiful, and I think like these spaces are important for people to find that connection.
Yeah, exactly. No, thank you for being here with us and sharing your time and heart and wisdom with us. And where can people find you? Hi, Apollo.
So you can find me mostly on Instagram at Nickelyass, NICKLEYASS. Or on my Patreon. I have a Patreon. It's www.patreon.com/Nickelyass. And I'll send you the links and stuff.
Yeah, all of this will be in the show notes. Definitely go check Nick out. Comment how you enjoyed this conversation. And thank you so much for being here with us today. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.